Hello, this is Erin, and welcome to Seek the Magic. So, today we're going to talk a little bit about the magic of AI and what is magic about it and not magic about it. I come to this topic because I work in AI. I have since 2021, and startup officially classified as AI. One that helps big companies like UBS, Credit Suisse, and Dell go help them monitor their systems and detect anomalies before they went down. This was patented AI technology that an NC State professor, it's also my boss, and founded the company, created. And that was very forward thinking AI ops before it became the buzzword of the day when ChatGPT became part of everybody's daily vocabulary. And now AI has really emerged not only as a buzzword, but almost as a solution. It pervaded many parts of the psyche and conversation. Now it's really been part of our lives for much longer than many of us would talk about. Google use AI extensively. Everybody searches. AI is used in a lot of machines that we are aware of. It's a lot how we get a lot of information. But now AI is top of mind, and people are talking about it and thinking about how they can use it in their personal and professional lives. And so I thought I would just give my perspective on what it is, what it's good for, different types of AI. And yeah, so we'll go from there. So, first of all, since this is Seek the Magic, what is the magic of AI? AI helps us think differently, faster, and more expansively. How does it do that? It does that because it allows us to ask questions as more of the basis of how we're thinking. So instead of asking questions to ourselves, which we do inherently, it allows us to articulate that and ask it to an expansive database of information that can understand what we're asking and deliver us information in an organized and useful fashion. We've been asking questions to Google all the time, but mostly the answers have been delivered to us in the form of, pictures, links, etc. So it's caused we've had to do more of the hunting and gathering to understand what is important and what's not important. It makes work more efficient. So it helps with idea generation, summaries, campaign drafts, editing, etc. Getting started. That's a big mental hurdle for a lot of people. I know it certainly is for me. And so AI certainly helps with that. And again, that question answer dialogue that comes with using these large language models like ChatGPT, you ask something, it gives you back answers. You can have a dialogue back and forth. I want to look more into this. This sounds right. This doesn't sound right. Give me more information. It helps you organize our thoughts. It's like an on demand strategist or creative partner if you want it to be. So, again, start with one question. It can give you information in a digestible format, and then you can dig deeper into one thing or another thing. And, a key component is saying, I think this is right. I think this isn't right. Let's look at it into it in a bit more details. Surfaces insight that gives us new angles and information. When we use Google, sometimes we'll ask a question and we have to dig, and we can look at Wikipedia, which is a general source, and then we can look at specific source information. But what ChatGPT does is it can condense this information and make us consume different data sources in very quick amounts of time, and then we can make judgments for ourselves and expand our creative capacity and really go extend beyond our horizon in terms of what we're thinking to advance thought further faster. So AI is sort of like that wise but sometimes eccentric partner who's reading every book in the library, brilliant but not always grounded in reality. And I think that's a key part, although it is magical and useful in terms of how it can deliver you information and expand your knowledge set and what you're thinking about and how you're thinking about it. It is not truth. And you do have to come to it with a very skeptical mindset and, sort of like opening in terms of having it present information to you, but then questioning what makes sense and doesn't make sense. So you very much need to rely upon yourself to validate what is being delivered and not delivered, and then optimize accordingly. So that gets into why it's not magic. Human made data, biases and blind spots. So, built by humans, key because just as Google is built by humans and Facebook and a lot of the other tools we made, it's not perfect. And so, we shouldn't take what is delivered to us for granted. And it can be easy to fall into that trap if something seems like great and useful information, but it's important to check what you're looking at, verify via different sources of information. So even going from one tool and chat tool to another one, or one chat GPT tool and then checking on Google or checking on another reliable source and making sure the information is correct. So AI doesn't understand in the way humans understand, which is a key point that some people get tripped up on because it can have conversations with you and seems like it understands, but it is predicting based on patterns of information in the world, based on the data that it is given, and then patterns based on the information and the questioning that you're giving to it. It's trained on most large language models are trained on internet scale information, but it doesn't have access to all data. And this will certainly play a role in AI moving forward, which again is why it's important to look at it with a research mind as a tool, but not the ultimate answer to things. Specific AI tools within, let's say, universities or certain catalogs of information will be key to helping us do research and find out more pinpointed information from certain authorities, because that information is extremely valuable and people don't necessarily want to open that up to the global LLM databases for consumption. So, looking at LLM as access to certain levels of information for general ideation, pointing you in certain directions is really good, but it doesn't access all data. I do think all data will have a layer of LLM to help us interact with it. So that is being developed now at many different companies and research laboratories and things like that. So I think that's very exciting. But again, Key doesn't have these large language models, and a lot of tools don't have access to all data. It can be inaccurate. And I'll get into this more, but the company I currently work for does AI observability, and part of that is to judge how accurate an AI model is because they do have information that's not. They can lead you in a certain direction because, again, they recognize certain patterns that may seem correct and they're not. And it also can hallucinate facts. So, for example, there was a certain LLM tool that said, the San Francisco Bay Bridge was built in the Egyptian age or something, silly like that, that we know is not true, but it came up with various internet sources that, predicted this fact. So AI tools need iteration, context, and your judgment to be effective. And, that is under the category of, maybe not magic because it can't do anything for you, but is magic invaluable because it shows how important the human component is of what you're doing and how you're doing it. So, one analogy is like, I don't know if I completely agree with this one, but it's like GPS. It helps you navigate where you're going. But if you're driving a car and you realize that the map is leading you towards a construction site or a lake, then you need to reoptimize. So the real magic isn't the machine, it's how we use it. Now we're going to get into some definitions about what general terms in AI are and some analogies. So AI is technology that mimics human intelligence, keeping mimics. And that's why it's, connected to us and how we're doing things because it works how our brain works. So it's like a clever intern, fast, useful, but doesn't always know when it's wrong. Machine learning is AI that learns from data over time. So it's like showing a child 10,000 pictures of dogs until they just get it and understand. And actually, part of, how a kid learns is pretty magical because they can see similar pictures and pick up patterns very quickly. It doesn't necessarily take 10,000, but anyway, for machine learning, that's how it works. Large language models, AI trained on massive text data sets to understand and generate language. So it's like a parrot who mimics speech but doesn't necessarily know what it means. It's based on the information it's given, it's not based on holistic, all information, which is again where we need that human judgment. Generative AI is AI that creates content, including text, images, audio, and code. So I have experimented with AI images, and it produces some amazing and fascinating things, and it also produces some things that are so weird and wrong. So this is certainly one of those things that is being developed and will expand very quickly. I think it will help certainly in the marketing creation realm in terms of how we communicate with each other, but it is something that I believe certainly needs the component of humans. Another key term, hallucinations, which is a good one to remind us of what AI is in these different contexts. It's a tool that helps us grow and learn, but it makes mistakes and it is growing and learning, and it needs humans to monitor it and optimize it. So, AI making up false information or misleading content. The analogy could be direct storytelling, convincing, but likely fictional. So, just to quickly get into some of the key tools that are used for business and personal life and things like that. One is OpenAI. I feel like that's the most famous one as it emerged onto the global stage a few years ago. It really brought AI to the forefront in terms of the buzziest of buzzwords that one can ever find, and AI is part of, every company's mission statement, goals, objectives, etc., which I think it certainly should be, and it should be leveraged and incorporated into how we live. But the key is understanding what we mean when we say AI and how we plan to apply it and what tools we're using when we are going about it. So, again, OpenAI. Strengths, it's the best generalist, strong logic. Weaknesses, it is slower and costly and can hallucinate confidently. In my case, I use it for coming up with ideas, summarization, coming up with different points. And I feel like it's the most powerful tool in the market for general use cases. Claude, which is by Anthropic, is emotionally sensitive and has a longer memory. So it can look in different data sources and give you sources from almost across different models. It can be cautious, too cautious and vague in terms of the answers it delivers to you. It can be used for planning, writing support, and coaching style outputs. Llama 2 is Meta's open source model. It is customizable and private, certainly dev heavy. The Meta has invested significantly in using it and getting businesses to use its platform. When I was at the GTC conference a few weeks ago, they had a huge GTC provides the infrastructure hardware for a lot of the LLM models, and Llama was there with a big booth trying to get developers to build on their open source platform. So it's good for internal enterprise tools and it's legal and finance focused. DeepSeek, that's an emerging player that came out this year because it emerged from China and they boldly stated that they could run a large language model for a small fraction of the cost of what OpenAI and large competitors run their LLM platform for. And as a result, they really disrupted the market, made a lot of headlines, and I think they have some operational efficiencies that they've introduced, but they also made a splash for a reason to be at the forefront. But the other large language models are certainly using the most cutting edge technology and are efficient in other ways. Right now, mostly being used for R&D technical use and data modeling. So, as I said, I started working in AI before ChatGPT came out when AI was certainly used across businesses, but it wasn't an emerging keyword in business buzzword as it is today. Today, I hear it at least 50 times a day in the work I do, in the personal conversations I have, in the spiritual communities when listen to podcasts about talking to your inner voice or connecting to higher wisdom. Some leaders are using AI in, some positive ways and some negative ways. Again, reflecting on the principles that I showed before, how we should think of AI is good and, magic and useful, and then where shortcomings are. I think those are important things to keep in mind as we use it in tools in our individual lives as well as business. So right now I'm connected to AI because I work as a marketing leader at an AI infrastructure company called Aether that sells AI infrastructure for emerging teams building AI. So it's exciting because I get to see a lot of different potential use cases for how AI can help people, whether it's generating videos, generating content, understanding and navigating blockchain, helping customer service in interesting ways. There's lots of emerging examples of how it's used across industries, and I'm excited to see where it goes. And maybe I'll get into that a little more in a different episode. So, how AI can be embedded already in our lives. It's there for work, brainstorming, writing, and analysis. It can help with ideas in organizations, trips we're going on, routine planning, etc. Certainly, creativity for helping spark ideas or build out ideas. And, for those of us who consume a lot, it can help with, remembering what we've listened to, whether it be on podcast, video, meetings, etc., and it can help us organize our thoughts. So, why this matters, and what I'm thinking about in terms of more content moving forward. AI is powerful, but it needs human discernment. I think several episodes will hopefully help this audience use AI with intention, understand it without fear, and think about how it can be used in positive ways and keep humanity in the loop. So, how I'm thinking about it moving forward: AI and work, how to stay relevant and ahead, AI in parenting, raising thoughtful humans in a machine world, AI in spirituality, tech as a mirror, not a master, and AI in creativity, knowing when to collaborate, and unplug. So think about how you've been using AI, what AI means to you, and if there are any topics that you'd like me to dive more deeply into, and I hope you find the magic in your day-to-day. Thanks.